Giovanni Caputo,
And I'm Matteo Caputo.
and we're the Caputo Brothers of Caputo Brothers Creamery.
That's right.
We've come up with an idea to save local dairy farmers and to support anyone who's feeling bored at home.
So we came up with the idea of virtual mozzarella classes. Our mom has already taught thousands of people how to make mozzarella. So we thought, why not do it online?
And now we're going to hand it over to you, Mom.
What a great idea. A virtual mozzarella class? Awesome. Welcome, guys. My name is Rin Caputo. I'm actually the mother of the Caputo brothers. And together with their dad, my husband, Dave, we own Caputo Brothers Creamery. We're here in Spring Grove, Pennsylvania, which is right in the middle of dairy country. And today we're going to teach you how to make mozzarella. But before we do, we need to make sure you have all of the right equipment and you know how to make hot water. I know. Is it hard to make hot water? It's okay. We're going to show you. First, you're going to need a bowl for stretching. Although a stainless steel mixing bowl is the perfect tool for the job, even something as simple as this terracotta serving dish can be used. Ceramic or even tempered glass would work just fine as well. Next, you need a larger bowl for emptying all the hot water we're going to use during the stretching process. We typically place a strainer or colander inside this bowl, and that'll catch any curd that may have escaped while pouring the water out. You'll also need a spoon, and we recommend either a metal or a wooden spoon. In fact, if we could take you to a creamery in Italy right now to make mozzarella, this is what you would be using. That's right, they use a wooden spoon too. We also recommend that you try to avoid using a plastic spoon or rubber spatula, unless that's all you have access to, as it makes the stretching process a little more challenging. The last bowl you'll need in your setup is what we like to call the best friend bowl. We call this bowl your best friend because once you fill it with cold tap water, you're going to use it for two very important parts of the mozzarella making process. First, you're going to use it to keep those hands cool while you are stretching. Let me tell you, 190-degree water is very hot, and the best friend bowl will allow you to cool your hands off while you're making the mozzarella. Secondly, once you've made the ball of mozzarella, you're going to need to store it somewhere, and this bowl works perfectly. Now that you have your stretching setup completed, you just need the items from the kit. The curd, preferably no more than 24 hours since it arrived, and that salt pouch. Now you're ready to go. One of the most important parts of stretching mozzarella is making sure that you have all the hot water you need to make the cheese. There are two options for heating the water you'll need to make the mozzarella. Option 1, fill a large pot with about a gallon of water and turn the heat on high. If you have a digital thermometer or meat thermometer, you can use it to get the water to exactly 190 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a thermometer, that's okay. Simply allow the water to come all the way up to a roaring boil. Turn the heat off and wait about 5 minutes. The water will be about 190 degrees. Close enough. Option 2. For those of you with fancy kitchen gadgets, here's your chance to put them to good use. If you have a programmable kettle, typically used for making specialty teas, or water circulator like a sous vide, you can set them up to 190 degrees and let the gadgets do the work for you. Either way, you need hot water at 190 degrees Fahrenheit. Good. Now you know what you need? It's time for us to make mozzarella. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration.
Wait. Mom.
Teo, I'm filming the video.
No, Mom, you have to tell them about cultures and what's different about our cheese.
Ah, you're right. Sorry, he makes a good point. All right, before I do the demo, let's tell you all about culture. All right, guys, I know you're super excited to get right into stretching, but I'm gonna force you to listen to just a little bit of science. I know, but it's for your own good. Listen, it's gonna make you a much better shopper at the grocery store from now on. Why? Because I'm gonna teach you about one little word that if you don't remember anything else I say during the science part, or quite frankly, even once we start making the mozzarella, I want you to remember this one word, culture. Actually, everybody say it with me. I'm going to count to 3. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Culture. I know you feel silly, but I want you to say it out loud because I don't want you to forget. What on earth is so important about this word is what you might be thinking. Well, it's important because it's what makes our mozzarella special. It's what makes our mozzarella the Italian-style mozzarella versus the American-style mozzarella. To really understand what that means, we need to talk about how cheese is made in the first place. Now, you probably realize we start from milk, but here we actually work with dairy farmers that are not 15 minutes down the road. We actually go over to their farm, get the milk, and bring it back here to the creamery. At that point, we go through low temperature pasteurization. We have to. It's required by federal law. So any cheese that's not aged longer than 60 days has to be pasteurized. So for us, we do low temperature pasteurization, and it preserves the integrity of this really incredible milk that we get from our farmers. Once we have that milk in the cheese vat, warm and ready to go, that's where this word comes into play, culture. Now, it's really just a nice way of saying bacteria. We actually take the culture, or bacteria, and add it to the milk. What that does is it actually eats the sugar, the lactose that's in the milk, and converts it into lactic acid. That's right. The process of introducing culture into milk, what we call fermentation, actually removes the lactose and converts it into lactic acid. What is lactic acid? You know it as what makes cheddar sharp, or when you have yogurt, because that also has culture. It makes that little bit of that tanginess at the back of your palate. That's lactic acid. It also means that cheese that goes through this process, real cheese, has been lactose free, or maybe depending on the style, very low in lactose for thousands of years. Literally thousands and thousands of years. First time cheese was made in the goat's stomach in the Middle East somewhere, lactose free, because this process of introducing culture takes it away. Now, that's different than the way mozzarella is made in the United States. You've actually experienced this before. You just didn't realize it. You went to the grocery store, you're going to make pizza. Yeah, you're having friends over, you get the dough, you get the sauce, you're going to splurge. You're going to get that pillowy little white thing floating in water. It says mozzarella cheese right on the package. There's even Italian flags. It's got to be the real thing. You brought it home, you made the dough, you put the sauce, you sliced up that pillowy little white ball into circles and put them right on top of that pizza. You put the pizza in the oven. It goes in as perfect circles. Guess what? It comes out as perfect circles. Now this is curious. At least to me it was, because literally every other cheese that goes in my oven melts in a million different directions. So how is it that this cheese that I get at the grocery store stays in these perfect little circles? Well, I'll tell you. The next time you're at the grocery store, if you go and pick up that exact same container, turn it around, and go to the ingredient panel, you'll notice a very important word is not listed there. The word that I told you to remember, culture. Instead, you'll see something like vinegar or citric acid. Where's the culture? How did they make cheese without culture? Well, the simple answer is they didn't. See, some pretty industrious Americans figured out about 60 years ago that if they added vinegar or citric acid instead of culture at just the right time, they could make milk look like something called mozzarella, or make milk look like something called ricotta, even though they never added culture, even though it was still full of all of the lactose. So the reason that when you put that mozzarella on the pizza and it stays in the perfect circle is because technically it's not cheese. It's just milk. And you can't melt milk. I mean, this is a great experiment. Get milk, try to melt it. I'll save you the trouble. You can't. It's the same reason when you make lasagna. You put that same mozzarella. You get the ricotta in the tub. It goes in the oven. It comes out a soupy, watery mix. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. It's milk. So you haven't melted any cheese in there. All you've done is broken apart the solids from the water, which is what ends up all around the outside of the lasagna. Guys, the example I always use, and this I think helps most people understand it, is if I take grape juice and I put it in a wine bottle and then pour that grape juice into a wine glass, when you pick up that wine glass and drink it, in your brain, you might assume that you're drinking wine. But when you taste it, as soon as you do, you'll realize it's still just grape juice. It's still got all the sugar in it. Well, American-style mozzarella without culture is the exact same thing. It's like grape juice in a wine bottle. It's just milk with vinegar made to look like cheese. So from now on, when you're at the grocery store, pick up that cheese, look at the ingredient panel. If you don't see the word culture, it's not real cheese. Now you know. Let's make some mozzarella. All right, here we go. Time to make the mozzarella. Whoa, wait a minute. Time for me to make the mozzarella. I know you guys are super excited and you want to start stretching mozzarella right away. But I'm going to show you how to make it just one time. That way you get the idea of what we're going to do, and then we're going to do it together, okay? So I'm going to start with the curds. I don't know, go grab a glass of wine, maybe a beer or something. Glass of water, that's okay too. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and I'll show you how to make the mozzarella. First thing I'm going to do is break up the curds. Now, this is actually one of the parts of this activity that if you have kids at home helping you, they can actually help with this. The key is that you want to break or peel the curds into quarter or like nickel-sized pieces. We don't want to crumble the curds. We don't want to crush the curds. We're not looking to make, I don't know, like rice grains, okay? So not like really squeezing it hard in your hands. You just want to peel it apart like that. And as long as you're getting the curd into about the size of a quarter, or maybe even like this, the size of a nickel, you're going to be fine. Listen, guys, we have sent you a pound of curd, and we want you to end up with a pound of cheese. So if you take this part seriously and not crush the curds too much, you're going to end up with some pretty great mozzarella in the end. All right. Now that we've broken the curds apart, we're going to add the salt. I know what you're thinking. That looks like a whole lot of salt. You're not wrong. It actually is a whole lot of salt. And before you have a heart attack, literally, it's okay. Guys, you're going to have to trust us on this one. We need to have an abundance of salt in and around the curds. That's why I'm giving it a little bit of a stir right now. Because if we don't have enough salt, when we add the hot water, there's not going to be enough salt left over to season the cheese the way it needs to be. So make sure that you have all of the salt that we sent you on top of the curds and just give it a little stir. Now we're ready to add the hot water. We happen to have a restaurant attached to our creamery, which means I fall into the fancy kitchen gadgets, or at least my husband does, who's the chef around here. Once I have my water at 190 degrees, I'm going to pour that water directly over the curds. Grab my spoon and stir vigorously for about 20 or 30 seconds. What I'm trying to do here is temper the curds. to actually start to warm the curds up a little bit. And I should expect to see little strings starting to stretch out and form between the curds. It's good. I'm seeing that. Once I'm done stirring, I want to pour off about 3/4 of the water, leaving about 1/4 of the water inside the bowl. Back to my handy kettle, and now I'm ready to hit it with the second shot of hot water. But instead of pouring the water directly on the curds, this time I want to pour right along the side of the bowl. Again, just enough hot water to cover the curds. It's probably the question people ask us most often. How much water? Just enough water to cover the curds. Because this time around, I don't want to vigorously stir. Now, I just want to gently push the curds over to one side. And as I do that, I'll see that the curds are starting to come together, right? So they were kind of little masses all around the bowl before, and now they're coming together into one big mass, so that all I have to do is take my spoon, slide it right underneath, and I can start to lift up and stretch the curds into what we call the waterfall stretch. Let's see. I'm going to do that one more time. Again, push on the curds just a little bit. Get that spoon underneath and lift straight up. There we go. Each time, it's getting a little better. You can actually see it starting to happen. The curds, which start being, they're a little lumpy and bumpy in the beginning, they start to become smooth and shiny. Let's do it one more time. There we go. This is where everybody always takes out their camera and takes all the pictures. Alrighty, now that we've gotten 2 to 3 good waterfall stretches, we're ready to make the mozzarella. First thing I'm going to do is cool my hands off in the cold water bowl or the best friend bowl. That way my hands are nice and cool, because if you've never put your hands in 190-degree water, let me tell you guys, it's hot. So just dipping your hands in the water as you're stretching will actually keep them nice and cool. Because at this point, I just want to apply fingertip pressure, essentially pushing the cheese into itself. I always say it's kind of like when you have a pair of socks and you're like folding them inside out, or kind of pushing them in together. You just want to use the pressure right here on the tips of your fingers. A lot of times when people are making mozzarella, they engage the whole hand, particularly this part right here, and that's too much. All you really need to do is just apply that fingertip pressure, pushing the cheese into itself, and you'll find that when you do that, you get this nice, smooth, and shiny surface. All right. Once we have that smooth and shiny surface, we're ready to pick out the size mozzarella that we're looking for. So I'll just make a C with each hand, put that together, and that'll help me pick out the mozzarella. So fingertip pressure, nice smooth surface, make my C's, push them together. That looks about right. Let go with my right hand, push the cheese into the left C, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze into the tightest fist you can until you actually start to feel the cheese starting to break. All you need is one finger, just like this, right underneath, down across the thumb, transfer to the palm of your hand, and that's your little ball of fresh mozzarella. Pretty cool, huh? Let me show you again. So gently push the curd into itself till we get that smooth and shiny surface. Make your C's, push them together, let go with the right hand. Push the cheese into the left C, Squeeze, 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 squeeze. You'll actually feel the cheese starting to break underneath. And that's where the word mozzarella actually comes from. Mozzare means to break or to cut. So all we need is one finger, just like a hook, right underneath, down across the thumb, transfer to the palm of your hand, and that's your ball of fresh mozzarella. And we're just going to put that right in that cold water bowl. Now, I have a little left over, so I'm going to make sure I eat some. Listen, I'm the chef. I've been doing all the hard work. I should get a little snack. What I want you to do is go ahead and get ready for the stretch along. Make sure you have everything set up, grab your curds, and get ready to make your own mozzarella. Now it's time for the stretch along. That's right, you finally get to make mozzarella. So we are going to grab the curds that came in your kit. Make sure you have the salt and your setup. If you have all of that and hot water ready to go, you're ready to stretch. So go ahead and open up your curd pouch. Pour the entire contents into your empty bowl and start breaking them up. Remember, we just want to break or peel the curds apart. We don't want to crush or crumble them. Breaking and peeling them apart into about the size of a quarter or maybe like a nickel. And that's going to give us the best results when we add the salt and the hot water. While you guys are breaking up the curds, I just want to mention, again, at any point during the stretch along, if you feel like you need to catch up, if you need to rewind, if you need to get your water hot again, feel free to hit the pause button. You can come back to it, and you can watch this video as many times as you'd like. The other thing I want to point out is at the bottom of this video, you'll notice some frequently asked questions. So once you get into the stretch along, if you find you're a little curious, maybe you're trying to figure out how to do something, odds are somebody else has asked us that same question before, and we've gone ahead and answered it to you below. All right, so I have my curds all broken up. Now, we're ready to add the salt. So, open up your salt pouch. Pour out the entire contents. People ask me all the time, what if I want to use less salt? You can. It's just, this first time around, trust us. It's almost impossible to oversalt the cheese, but it's pretty easy to undersalt it. So start with this salt. If you think it's too salty, the next time you make mozzarella, back it down a little bit. We typically recommend about 50 grams per pound. That's about 2.5, 3 tablespoons. All right. Once I've added the salt, you saw I just gently mixed the curds around a little bit so that each curd got a little bit of salt on it. And now we'll add the hot water. 190 degrees is where we need to be. The closer you are to that number, the easier the stretching process is going to be. Remember, this first time around that we're adding hot water, it's okay to pour directly on the curds. It's also okay to vigorously stir the curds around in the bowl. We want to do this vigorous stirring for about 20, maybe 30 seconds, just till we see the strings starting to form. And I'm actually starting to see, quite a few. Once we see those strings starting to develop, we're going to pour 3/4 of the water off, leaving about 1/4 of the water in the bowl. We also want to make sure that we take our strainer and bring back any curds that might have tried to escape. Now we're ready for the second shot of hot water. This time, we do not want to pour directly on the curds. Instead, I like to pour just right here inside the front edge of that bowl. Again, just enough hot water to cover the curds. You're probably tired of hearing me say that. But guys, it's important. Let me tell you why. Because if you add too much water, like if I was to fill this entire bowl with water, and I went to gently push the curds to one side, I'll see that the curds are actually swimming around on me. So if that's what you're experiencing right now, go ahead and pour a little bit of the water off and try pushing the curds gently to one side again. All right, that's working for me. Hopefully it's working for you. If not, pour a little more water off. Once we get the curds over to one side, now I'm going to gently push the spoon underneath the curds and give a little push with my fingers. Ooh, that's hot. Dip them in the cold water bowl. Give it a little push and lift that spoon straight up. Now, most people, when they first get started, have their spoon like this. We don't want to do that. You want to keep it flat or even inverted. Make sure you really raise it up. You got to get a good shot for Instagram, guys. Come on. All right, give it a little turn. Let's do that again. Put your spoon underneath. Give it a little push into the spoon with your fingertips. And then keep that spoon nice and flat and lift up to get the perfect waterfall stretch. Don't feel like you have to shake it or even pull. Okay? Give it a second. Eventually, gravity will catch up and it will start to make a really nice waterfall. If you are not getting a waterfall right now, odds are your water's not hot enough. So, you need to do the opposite. Instead of pouring water off, you need to add water. More hot water. If your bowl is getting too full, pour some of the water off and add more hot water. If you can't get a good waterfall stretch, there's one solution and one solution only. Add more hot water. Your water might have cooled down while you were working. Heat it up a little bit more, add it. As soon as you get the mozzarella to an internal temperature of about 132 degrees, it'll stretch, I promise. Now that we've gotten our 3 good waterfall stretches, I'm going to put my hands back in the best friend bowl, pick up the mozzarella, and just apply that gentle fingertip pressure. Woo, it's hot. Don't forget to use that best friend bowl. Now you know why we call it that. And gently pushing the cheese into itself, I should start to see a smooth and shiny surface developing across the top. Don't be afraid to keep dipping your hands in the cold water as you go. All right, I've got a nice smooth and shiny surface. Hopefully you do too. It's time to pick out the size mozzarella that we're looking for. Remember, we're going to do that by making a C with each of our hands and joining them together to select the size mozzarella that we're looking for. Here we go. Moment of truth. Gently push the cheese, get the smooth surface, make your C's. Maybe you want to make a smaller one, maybe like that. Join those two together, let go with your right hand, and push the cheese into the C of your left hand. Squeeze, 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 the tightest fist you can. I'm making a fist just like that. You'll actually feel the cheese breaking. Don't pull from the bottom. I know it feels like the right thing to do, or maybe even reach across the top. You just need this one finger. Shape it like a hook. Go right underneath and down across that thumb. You're actually using the bone here like a knife. Transfer the palm of your hand. You did it! You made fresh mozzarella! And put that right into that cold water bowl. Let's do it again. Gently push the curd into itself. And remember, if I'm going too fast, feel free to pause. You can always rewind and watch it again. Nice, smooth, and shiny surface. Make my double C's. Push them together. Let go with my right hand. Push the cheese into your left C. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Tightest fist you can until you feel the cheese start to break. One finger right underneath. Go right around the cheese and down across the thumb. Transfer to the palm of your hand and into your cold water bowl. We're going to do it one last time. So we're going to gently push the cheese into itself. Get our nice smooth surface. Put our C's together. That looks about a good size. Let go with the right hand. Push the cheese into the left C. Squeeze the tightest fist you can. One finger, don't come up, not like that. You actually want to go right underneath and down across the thumb. Transfer to the palm of your hand and into your cold water bowl. And what's left is for you to enjoy. All right, guys, the last thing we have to tell you is what to do with the water that's left over and how to store your mozzarella. Go ahead and get a bite and join us back here in just a moment for that. So maybe you're asking yourself, what do I do with all of this water that's left over? Well, first of all, you should know that it's not whey. I know. No way. Yes way. It's a cheese joke. Get it? Anyways, it's not whey. No, yeah, okay. Let's try it again. Ready?
I was going to say go with it.
So I know you're wondering, what do you do with all this water that's left over? Well, first of all, you need to know that it's not whey. Okay? And people ask me that all the time. They're like, what do I do with the whey? Whey is actually a byproduct of the mozzarella making. That's what we make the ricotta out of. In fact, ricotta means recooked whey in Italian. True story. This is a simple salt. Now that we made the cheese in it, it has kind of like a dispersed amount of butter fat running throughout the simple salt. The easiest thing to do with it, put it in a Tupperware container and put it in your refrigerator overnight. You'll actually get a little butter fat cap that forms on top, kind of like, you know, when you make bacon on like Saturday morning and you put the drippings in the fridge, you get that little fat cap. Same thing. But this is cultured butter, mozzarella butter specifically. It'll cook like a ghee or a clarified butter would, so it's perfect for frying an egg. In our house, it goes on a whole lot of popcorn. Here at the creamery, we have a restaurant. So Dave, if he's gonna make like risotto, let's say, for one of the dinners, if he's gonna do mushroom risotto, instead of doing 100% mushroom stock, he'll actually do 50% mushroom stock and 50% of this water that we call liquid gold. It got that name because it makes things taste amazing. So it's literally like gold in the kitchen. You can put it in mashed potatoes. That's really good. You can get corn on the cob and cook your corn on the cob in here and it comes out pre-buttered and salted. Amazing. Literally, it's simple salt with butter flavoring. There's a million different things you can do with this. Even if you just freeze it, like in old school ice cube trays or like the Ziploc bags, then you can just thaw it out and use it to deglaze a pan or season a sauce, soup, something like that. Just don't throw it away. It is, after all, liquid gold. The other question that everybody always wants to know is, what do I do with the mozzarella once it's made? Now, this question is baffling to me because to me, it's easy. You eat it. all of it. It's delicious. Have you noticed that you're getting like all of this butter flavor right on the tip of your tongue and a little bit of like sourness right here at the back of your palate? That's what real cheese does. It gives you the butter. It gives you that little bit of like yogurt tanginess. Yeah, that's why we love it. It's much more satisfying. But I also realized that there's this word people tell me that they use all the time, leftovers. I personally have never heard it. Kidding, completely kidding. If you're gonna eat it all today or maybe even tomorrow, just leave it room temperature. You don't even have to refrigerate it. Right here in this bowl. Maybe tonight you want to put a little saran wrap on it, come back and eat it tomorrow? Absolutely you can. If you're not going to eat it today or tomorrow, that's okay too. Go ahead and pull the ball of mozzarella out and wrap it tight in saran wrap. It will start to dry out a little bit in your refrigerator, but it's perfect at that point for melting on the pizza. And this time, it will melt. Congratulations, you did it. And now you're officially part of what we call the Curd Herd. That's right, you're a mozzarella expert. So, you got to tell all your friends about it. You have to have a mozzarella party. How are you going to do that? You already made the mozzarella that you purchased. Well, hop on over to our product page and you'll find 4-packs and 8-packs of curd on our website. Now, something to warn you, will be a little different. When that curd comes, it comes on dry ice. Just think of all the fun things you can do with the dry ice when it comes. But they come frozen. You want to keep the curds completely frozen until you're ready to use them. We send you the curds for the class so that they thaw so you can stretch them right away. But when they come in the 4-pack or 8-pack, keep them in the freezer and they'll stay there the whole year until you use them. When you're ready, take one out, put it in a bowl of cold water for about 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and then you can stretch just like you did today. Don't forget this password, and you can come back and watch this video anytime. We want to see what you did. Hop on our Instagram page or our Twitter page. Just find us at Caputo Brothers. You can also hop on our Facebook page at Caputo Brothers Creamery. Post your pictures. Show us all the fun you had. I know we'll see a million waterfall stretches. Trust me, if you hop on our Instagram page and look at the virtual mozzarella class, you'll see a million there. But we want to see yours. And hashtag Curd Herd. And that way, everybody else in the Curd Herd can see what you're doing. Buon appetito. On behalf of everybody here at Caputo Brothers, thank you so much for your support. We know there's a lot of small businesses that you can support out there. And you're not only supporting ours, but you're also supporting all of our local dairy farms. And trust me, it makes a difference. Thanks, guys. Ciao. Come back and see us soon.